Aloha, how's it? Today we're talking all about how to create your LinkedIn social engagement strategy so that you can waste less time on LinkedIn but still increase your engagement. So, more on that in a minute. How was your weekend? I heard from many of you on the mainland in the United States, if you're there, that you were bracing for a snowstorm and blizzard. So, I hope all of you are safe. As you can see, we did not have any blizzards here. It's a little bit different. Blue skies, birds chirping, roosters crowing, plenty of winter waves to be had. But just so you know, I have not always lived on Oahu, and I actually grew up in the Chicagoland area. And so I've seen my fair share of ice storms, blizzards, floods after the snow melts, and all of that. So now it is time, though, for Mondays with Mindy. It's a weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the three P's of LinkedIn. So, a little teaser for those of you who are also podcastaholics like me. Get ready because I am launching a podcast called The Mango Effect on April 4th. So, the trailer episode is up now if you're curious at mangoeffect.com. So, if you want to check it out, it's also on Spotify. I recorded the first few episodes already and they were really fun. So, it's going to be a new way, I think, to connect with so many of you. A lot of people have been asking about what is it like to live in Hawaii? How did you get to where you are? Tell me a little bit more about your lifestyle stuff. So it's a little less LinkedIn centric and a little more focused on lifestyle, creating a lifestyle by design, designing your own lifestyle by design, some juicy topics related to entrepreneurship. Growing up in a cult, yes, really. Health, well being, surfing, relationships, mapping your own adventures, lots of really fun stuff. So, April 4th, stay tuned. If you have questions about LinkedIn that you want me to answer, be sure to like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay. Leave your questions below and I will answer them after the show or on a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. I get so many ideas from the questions that you post, and I get lots of DMs about, oh, Mindy, can you do a topic on this? So let me know what questions you have. I'm here to serve you. I'm excited about answering your questions. And I just came from the LinkedIn Accelerator program, and we have a great group this week. So it was crazy inspiring. I learned a lot with the program, and we talked a little bit about social engagement strategies. So I was ready for today. We're going to get to today's topic. How do you start getting active on LinkedIn without getting stuck in the bottomless scroll of the feed? So that's what we're talking about today. Let's get strategic. If you're like a lot of other experts that I know, you may have jumped into 2022 headfirst with the intention to start engaging more on LinkedIn. And you're sold on the fact that your target audience is here. Maybe you've been putting together your content strategy. Maybe you've spent a lot of time writing some really thoughtful posts, trying to engage the right people. You learned all about hashtags, how to use them on LinkedIn. Maybe you've scrolled your newsfeed and noticed what seems to be working in the comments to get people talking. So you're so ready to start engaging on LinkedIn. And that's an amazing feeling. I will say, I love that enthusiasm that comes with, like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. I'm totally doing this. But is more engagement on LinkedIn actually going to drive personal brand awareness or attract high quality leads for your business? That is the real question. And sometimes we make assumptions that, okay, if I do this, then that will happen. And it's not always the case. More engagement does not necessarily mean more new business. So, engagement for engagement's sake will only waste your time and energy on that low value dopamine hit. And maybe you'll pick up a few more fans along the way too. But it's not going to give you that solid business pipeline that many of you are looking for on LinkedIn. Okay, so aloha for those who don't know me. My name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. And classes in session this week. We had our first session not too long ago today. And if you want to be sure you're notified when the next cohort is open, get on the wait list. I will share a link at the end of this live stream. You can look in the comments as well because you don't want to miss it. If LinkedIn is on your radar for your business, It is one of the most impactful 5-day experiences that you can go through to get you set up for success on LinkedIn. So I help superstars who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go to visible expert in their niche so that they can get their next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact on LinkedIn. When it comes to LinkedIn, it's really about that impact. If you're not having that impact or you feel like it could be better, let's talk about that. So, in this live, we are going to talk about why engaging too much on LinkedIn may be preventing you from growing your business and networking with the right people. And how can you actually go about creating a more thoughtful engagement strategy to actually generate business opportunities like real money, like real people doing real business? So, are you ready? Let's do this. I'm psyched. I'm excited. So, go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. All right, so I mentioned that engaging on LinkedIn can be a really good thing, but it's easy to overdo it when it comes to like how much is enough? Like how much should I be posting? How often should I be engaging? And I get that you may have heard that more engagement is better and shows that you're deeply engaged with your audience. That seems completely logical and it is correct to a point. You don't want to post and ghost, as we call it in the social sphere, but you also don't want to look too engaged at all hours of the day on LinkedIn. And why is that? If you're too busy commenting on other people's posts on LinkedIn, you know what I'm talking about here. I probably don't have to spell it out for you. Then that could be signaling to your audience that you don't have much business right now, or you're desperate for new clients, and maybe you just have a bit too much time on your hands. So, in demand experts, those people that we look up to that are in demand, that we're like, oh, I just want to aspire to be like them. Or maybe you're really busy and you are an in demand expert already. You don't spend an hour a day commenting on LinkedIn posts or replying to every comment in a back and forth diatribe. If you've got that much free time to peruse LinkedIn, you're not practicing your areas of expertise and you're not growing your business strategically. Your audience is going to pick up on this vibe when they see your activity on LinkedIn. Trust me. I've had people come to me saying, Mindy, I am so busy, but I have carved out an hour a day to work on my LinkedIn and I am commenting like crazy and nothing is happening. I'm like, you know, maybe you should dial that back a little bit. And that seems silly coming from somebody who's an advocate of LinkedIn, who believes LinkedIn is the most powerful way to engage with a professional audience. But you have to balance that. So what I like to call visible experts, like people that are in demand, that are seen, that are known for what they do, treat LinkedIn a lot differently than what the common advice out there tells us to do. So they treat their LinkedIn news feed with precision. Precision is the name of the game. Every comment is calculated, they only share where they can add value, so no like fluffy comments. They understand the repercussions and the ripple effects of each engagement. So you may think they are just like engaging naturally, but that's just how it appears to you because they've really got this down to both an art form and they have the data to back it up that it works. So think about some of the top experts that you know. How much time do you think they're spending on social media engaging with their comments? So if you're like drawing a blank right now, think about Brene Brown. Okay, a lot of us know her. She's done that really famous TED Talk. Do you think she's spending a lot of time sifting through those Instagram comments? Looking on LinkedIn for things to post on? I don't think so. I don't think so. What about Glennon Doyle? She's another pretty famous author in like the Christian sphere. She also is probably not spending a ton of time in the comments. She does post a lot on Instagram though, and I like her posts. But I don't think she's sitting there spending hours a day going back and forth in the comments. Probably has a VA or a social media manager helping her out. Then there's Simon Sinek, that helped us to think differently about doing business. Seth Godin, another one in the marketing sphere where I play. And I don't think they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for comments to come in so they can pop in and engage. These are just a few. Imagine now for a moment, like thinking of these, pick your favorite thought leader, whoever they are. Imagine if they had set aside their most important work to focus on answering and seeking out LinkedIn posts where they could insightfully comment. We probably never would have even known their names. So you see that it's like, okay, there's this conundrum. It feels like a catch 22. Like I'm supposed to engage on LinkedIn, but I'm also supposed to focus on what I'm really good at. So, how do we do this? How did they do this in the early days? So, instead, many thought leaders that before they become really famous, they take a very strategic approach to focusing on their most important work as an expert. So, you focus on that first. Focus on growing your business, focus on your work as an expert. And then they found new ways to kind of break through, how I would call it, in their niche to get the opportunities that they wanted. So, what does that look like from a LinkedIn perspective? Those opportunities did not come just from commenting on social media. They were very, very strategic in how they engaged, with whom they engaged, and how they went about it. So, I think we can learn a lot from these other experts. Maybe we never want to be as famous or popular as they are, but there's a lot to be learned from how other experts in their niche go about engaging. So, am I telling you not to engage at all on LinkedIn? Definitely not. Like, don't be that person who just blasts their content, is always marketing, always selling, and it feels like, oh, you just want to kind of vomit when you come across their posts. That's not what I'm saying. You likely don't have the clout of a national or world renowned expert quite yet. So, where's the middle ground for those of us who are still like growing our personal brands? We're looking for new clients, we're trying to get new gigs because we haven't yet had our breakthrough opportunity. Instead of trying to engage a lot on LinkedIn, I want you to think about how precise you can be with your engagement. So, instead of more is better, like how precise, like how strategic can you be? You're not going to wait for the LinkedIn algorithm to deliver you content that it thinks you want to engage with. Instead, you're going to be proactive by seeking out the types of engagement that will serve your personal brand and your business. So I almost think of it like a salesperson. So we can learn a lot, I think, from sales teams and great sales people. They don't sit around waiting for marketing to feed them leads. That's just not, I mean, if marketing feeds them leads, they're excited, they're happy, especially if they pan out. What salespeople do, really great salespeople, are actually very strategic. They know exactly who their buyers are, they know where they hang out, they know how they talk, they know all of their problems, they know what the solutions are, they know all their competitors. So they know a lot of stuff. And what they do is they are very strategic in how they reach out and how they approach a potential customer. We can take that approach to how we engage on LinkedIn. When we apply that to LinkedIn, we're going to see a lot more results from our efforts instead of like randomly commenting and posting just because we have to, we have 5 or 10 minutes and we should just go comment on something. So we pick the first thing that pops up in our newsfeed and say, check, I did it for the day. I'm done. I'm done. I did my LinkedIn engagement. Instead, if you have that same 5 to 10 minutes per day to engage with your LinkedIn newsfeed, you're going to think differently. You're going to think about the people, about the leaders, about the organizations who post the most relevant content for your areas of expertise. You're going to have like a dozen or two of these that regularly share content. You're going to focus your efforts on engaging with their posts. So, not randomly, not waiting for LinkedIn to figure it out for you. You're going to choose whose content you are commenting on. So once you've engaged with them, the beautiful part is once you've kind of figured that out and you're like, okay, there's probably a dozen, maybe 2 dozen people, organizations, places that share content, and I want to comment on their stuff. Their stuff is really good. I believe in it. I can add value. Once you start commenting, excuse me, LinkedIn is going to actually pop it up into the top of your feed. You're going to train the LinkedIn algorithm to serve you up their content every single time they post. But it is going to take a little bit of training of the LinkedIn algorithm to do that for you. It's not that hard. Basically, you make a list of these top people that you want to connect you want to connect with, you want to comment on their stuff, and then you're going to go look at their profiles and see what content they're posting and start engaging. That's going to signal to LinkedIn that, hey, I want to see more of their stuff. And then it will naturally start happening in your newsfeed. So this is really the approach that I would call like the smart visible experts. You think they're spending like an hour a day, like looking for content to post on LinkedIn, looking for ways to engage. They're really not. They're usually very strategic about how they post and who they engage with. So once you've engaged with these people multiple times on LinkedIn, you're going to start seeing it in your newsfeed, but you have to train the algorithm. So this type of precision is going to allow you to engage minimally on LinkedIn with maximum impact. So that's what we're going for here. We're not going for being the most engaged LinkedIn user. Please do not try to win that award. It is not an award worth winning. You want to be the strategic one. You want to be the one that's like spending 5, 10 minutes max a day engaging with content that is meaningful to you, to your clients, to people that could become your prospects. So from time to time, you might want to switch up the types of accounts you're engaging with just to keep things fresh, attract new audiences. But when you go about precisely engaging on LinkedIn, you're going to notice something happening. You're not going to fall into the habit of like the bottomless newsfeed scroll where you're just like looking for the bottom. You're not going to get stuck trying to find something to comment on and settling for like a low value piece of content. But if you're like, Mindy, I just want to keep doing what I'm doing, okay, that's fine. You can continue to do what you're doing and allow social media to simply be a time suck and devalue your expertise because you're too active or too casual with your interactions. But what sounds like a better option to you? Okay, I think you probably agree with me that the strategic way is going to be better long term. So let's talk about how to create your LinkedIn social engagement strategy from that perspective. You want to be strategic, you want to be intentional, you want to show up on LinkedIn with your best professional foot forward. So now that you figured that out, everywhere else you engage too, you can apply this approach. It doesn't have to just be LinkedIn. But what should you do next to choose the right people or accounts to engage with? Because I believe identifying the right people is what can make or break this strategy. So you want to pay very, very close attention to who makes it onto your list moving forward. All right, so I'm going to give you 4 different categories of people, 4 of my favorite groups that you can engage with that are going to help you in being strategic and not wasting a bunch of time. So the first group is going to be your industry influencers. So these are kind of a given. These are probably the people that pop to mind first when I start talking about engaging strategically. We tend to think of these the most when we're considering, okay, what content am I going to comment on? These people may or may not be competitors. So you do want to be thoughtful about how you're commenting. The key in engaging with their content is that you want to add value or perspective. And do not, whatever you do, please do not hijack their post for your own benefit. It looks very tacky and it's not cool. So don't hijack their posts. People will see right through that approach, but you want to add value, add perspective, agree or disagree, but disagree in a nice way. So really get people thinking. There's also a lot to learn from how influencers craft their content to pique interest and get people to engage with them. Especially, you may be surprised here, especially if they have fewer than like 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. If they're below that threshold of 20,000, they probably spend a good amount of time figuring out how to write content that engages because they're really trying to get a lot of engagement. So those people can be actually quite good to learn from if they post great content. I feel like those that have like tens of thousands of followers, 100,000 plus followers, they can get away with a lot more because it looks like their stuff is very popular, but they just have a bazillion followers. So they get a little more engagement than others. So I feel like they can get away with posting kind of crappy content. But those that are in like that 10 to 20,000 follower range, they're usually like gold, especially if they post good stuff. So pay attention to your industry influencers. The category number 2 is going to be the up and coming experts. So who are these up and coming experts? You might have an idea of who the big industry players are for your niche, but those who are the up and comers may not have a massive following yet. They likely have what I call it, though. Like you can usually spot them. Like I will see people in my space and I'm like, they have it. There's a certain look, there's a way that they approach their content. You can tell things are strategic. They have a really good strategy and a game plan, and you can usually spot them, especially if you've been online for a while. So, engaging with these up and coming experts will allow you to get on their radar because they're likely still small enough to pay close attention to those who comment on their posts. So, that's the nice part is like they're probably very similar to you and that they know every single person who's commenting, they know who their fans are, they engage with their comments, they see them. And if they are direct competitors, you just want to be cautious. Like, don't go selling on their profiles. Don't add, a silly comment here and there. Don't try to hijack their audience because you don't want to be perceived as someone out to steal their ideas or anything like that. But you can complement it, and competitors can be really, really good to connect with because a lot of times you're selling to different audiences. You may think you're a direct competitor, but a lot of times there's overlap and they may be selling to a very different target audience than you, but maybe selling the similar thing. So why not collaborate with them? Why not, right? If they are simply other players in the industry, there are likely a lot of beneficial reasons for the two of you to be on each other's radar and start engaging with people who find their content interesting. And maybe you can collaborate with them for your podcast or a blog or a book or YouTube channel, whatever content you're creating, whatever medium you're in. It's much easier to engage with these up and comers before they get really, really popular. So don't feel like you're wasting your time by building these relationships now. A lot of industry influencers, you'll see they kind of go together in stages. Like most of the industry influencers, you'll see that they're kind of hanging out with each other and they're with people that have been in business for about the same amount of time as them. That's because they were up and comers. They kind of got to know each other before they were really popular. And now they're helping each other grow their businesses, which is really, really cool. So don't underestimate the up and coming experts. All right. So who is the next category? Number three, identify the good thinkers outside your industry. So it's easy to just stay within our own industry. We kind of speak the same language, we use the same verbiage, we have similar audiences. So it's easy to overlook people that are outside our industry because we think, they're kind of irrelevant. But the thing is, there can be a lot of overlap with different audiences and interests. For example, you may be in SaaS sales. But what could you gain from following and interacting with like marketing agency owners? Sure, some of them might actually be prospects for your SaaS product, but you can also learn how marketers think and how you can adapt your own messaging for your own audience. So there's a lot to be learned from good thinkers in other industries. So I like to follow good thinkers, even if they aren't necessarily within my industry, because I like the way they think. I want to learn from their perspectives on their own industries, on their own topics of interest. So I've made a lot of business connections with people who are not directly related to my business, but probably never refer business my way. But I've learned a lot from them in the way they approach their areas of expertise, how they write, how they engage their audience, how they sell, how they share ideas. Why not follow and engage with them too? Sometimes there's an immediate business benefit from like directly interacting with them or their followers. And other times it's just business inspiration that we gain from following what I call the good thinkers in various industries. So don't underestimate the good thinkers. If somebody interests you and you like the way they write, it's not really your industry, add them to your list. Why not? Why not? All right, so number four, final category here, intentionally engage with customers and collaborators. Sometimes we overlook our like current customers or collaborators or people already in our sphere of influence. So this may seem to be really obvious, but I like to be sure to engage and support my past and current customers, especially when I see them engaging and sharing on LinkedIn. So even something as simple as a like, something really simple like that, clapping the little celebrate the insightful button, that can let them know that I see them and I support them from afar. I don't have to comment, but just showing that, hey, I'm paying attention. I see what you're doing. So don't take for granted the people who have already trusted you enough to work with you or collaborate with you. Because as the saying goes, what goes around comes around. So if you are always giving back to people that you've worked with, you've collaborated with, it's going to happen to you as well. Since I work with people on helping them to optimize their LinkedIn profiles and grow their networks inside of my programs, I try to be intentional about engaging my students on LinkedIn in the months after we work together inside the LinkedIn Accelerator program or in my membership. So, especially when I can tell they're making an effort to grow their network or engage thoughtfully on LinkedIn or they're trying a new content approach, I try to be very positive and uplifting and inspiring. This is really important. You want to reinforce that they made a good decision in working with you. You want to just put out that good karma. It's like the woo woo stuff, right? You have to put that out there if you want to receive that. All right. So don't underestimate engaging with customers and collaborators. It's a win-win. And I like to encourage people to keep going. I like to encourage people I've worked with in the past, even if I know they'll never work with me again. I want them to say, oh, yeah, that Mindy person, she was great. I really enjoyed working with her. And I see her every now and again on LinkedIn, and it's good. So that when they think of me and our work together, they have a positive feeling. And when they come across somebody, maybe they do come across somebody and refer me, great. If they don't, that's fine too, but at least their interaction was very, very positive. So you may not be interacting with your customers in the same way as me. They may not all be on LinkedIn, but some of them are likely on LinkedIn, especially if LinkedIn is your platform. But look for those highlight moments when, your customers or your clients or your students get a spot on the news. Maybe they hit a company milestone. They receive a recognition or award. These are really good times to intentionally engage with them. And LinkedIn will usually serve them up to you in the algorithm too. So I would periodically kind of look at their profiles. Like I have a list of customers and I like to kind of check them out on LinkedIn just to see what they're up to periodically. That can be a way to go about it. Or if you engage with them already on LinkedIn, it will show up in your LinkedIn newsfeed. All right, so we talked about four categories of people to engage with that will empower you to start creating an engagement strategy that really feels intentional and aligned with your business goals rather than just engaging on LinkedIn because you're supposed to. This type of energy is also going to come through when you post and support the people who matter inside and outside of your immediate network. So let's recap the four groups. So, first, we're going to look for industry influencers. We're going to learn from and engage with them when it makes sense. Second, we're going to look for those up and coming experts, try to get on their radar. Then, third, we're going to look for good thinkers outside of our industry, people that we like the way they do business, the way that they approach their expertise, people we can learn from. And then, number four, we're going to think about our current and past customers. All right, so what questions do you have about engaging more intentionally on LinkedIn? Leave them below in the comments or shoot me a private message. I'm happy to answer them, and maybe they'll fuel another episode of Mondays with Mindy. And if you are ready, if you're like Mindy, this was really helpful. I'm excited about using LinkedIn in 2022. I want to dial in my social engagement strategy. Then a really good next step is to get on the wait list for the LinkedIn Accelerator program. I'll pop it here on the screen, but you can also see it in the comments. I'll put it in the comments below. But the accelerator is 5 days of working with me in a small group environment where we are focused on taking your LinkedIn profile to the next level and then setting you up for success so that you can grow your business on LinkedIn, find new customers and clients, build your personal brand, and grow your network. So get on the wait list. The next cohort is probably going to be starting in March, April. I'm still deciding on the exact date. So get on the wait list because I want you to be the first to know. All right, that's it for this week. I will see all of you next week on Mondays with Mindy. Feel free again, leave questions, leave comments. And my inbox is always open if you want to message me directly. Bye for now. Have a beautiful week.